We're starting off with an episode of Azzattack. Haven't done one in a little while. I've been sick, alright? I've had this dumb cough that just won't go away, and it's really been pissing me off. And I'm probably going to cough a bit, but we'll see how we go. Excuse all this. Behind here, I have kids. Let us now. Oh, we're live streaming to Twitch and Facebook at the same time today. If you're on Facebook and you're watching, and you're commenting, I can't see your comments. So if you want to type shit to me, you'll have to go to Twitch, and then I'll see it. So today we're going to talk about the state of video games this year. We've had 3 sort of high-profile, terrible versions of games come out, and the latest is Redfall, which, I mean, it seems like it's not only just technical issues, but it's also it's barely a game. Which is probably, we're going to talk about the bigger issue probably of Microsoft just pushing things to Game Pass just because they need things there. And they're like, just put it there and we can make it a game later. We'll figure it out later. It just seems to be a thing at the moment where companies put out games and they're barely games, or they don't run very well, and figure it out later. Anyway, let's start off by talking about sort of the reviews for Redfall. IGN hasn't done a full review yet, but they're doing a review in progress, and it look at. Can we talk about these fucking reviewers trying to be smart with their subtitles or whatever that you call them? Like, Redfall review in progress, red flags, and then the where are we here? The GameSpot review, which they've actually reviewed it for realsies. Fucking, you're a bit slack there, IGN. I'm kidding, of course. They apparently the review process on this has been very fast. All these people got the game at the last minute, and so I understand that maybe a lot of people haven't been able to review it yet. But GameSpot got it done. Mark Delaney, look at him. He's getting this review out. Redfall review, half-staked. That doesn't even make sense, bro. You're saying it's like a vampire's only been half-staked. What does that mean? Anyway, that's just my mini rant for today. Is fucking reviewers doing dumb shit. But this is stuff we're going to talk about later. Back to this. Yeah, IGN, pretty down on it. They're not... Who's the greatest vampire slayer? Well, it's Buffy, obviously. Thank you. Yeah, Blade's a close second. It got a bit sidetracked. I played some of Redfall, and we might play some today. But basically, from what I played, it's barely a game. There are missions. Why you're doing them, I don't know. And the enemies are dumb as fuck. I don't know, maybe I need to up the difficulty, but they're super dumb. Like, the vampires are the only things that will actually do any damage. And even then, you just shoot them in the head a couple of times and then stake them, and they're gone. They're not really much of a challenge. And then there are missions that just happen. Like you do a thing, and they're like, "There you go, you've done it," and it wasn't interesting or fun at all. Um, like just last night, I did a mission where the mission was this guy has a pocket watch, and he wants you to go and put the pocket watch on his mother's grave. I think that's what it was, and I did it. That's all. That's like literally that was the mission. I got the pocket watch. I went to the cemetery. I put the pocket watch on the grave, and then I stole the pocket watch back, which I got an achievement for. And then that was it. That was the mission. Apparently you could just not steal it, but here we are. And the other missions haven't been any more interesting than that. There was a couple. Well, there was one mission where there was like 2 downed helicopters, and you go to the helicopters supposedly to look for survivors or supplies. I don't know what the actual reason was for you to go there. But you just go there, and there's some dudes to shoot, and then you find there's nothing there, and then you go to the because that was the first downed helicopter, and then you go to the different site where the other helicopter is, and then it's the same thing. There's some dudes there that you shoot, and there's nothing there. That's it. That was the mission. I don't know. It's there is a story supposedly that's told through still sort of cutscenes, like I'm pretty sure they're pre-rendered, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're live. But either way, it's basically just still like all the characters in the game, like the 3D models are all posed, and there's 3D backgrounds, but they're all just posed, and they don't talk or anything. They're just posed, and there's like a voiceover. It's fine, I guess. I mean, if you don't want to spend time animating and stuff, that's okay. But in a big budget game like this, where this is supposed to be one of Microsoft's big AAA games this year, it just feels half-assed, and doesn't help that the rest of the game also feels half-assed, and it just kind of adds to the half-assedness of it. So those are my thoughts on Redfall. Also, doesn't run great. Which we'll get to in a second too. It's on PC. I don't have a Xbox because I have a PC, so I don't need one. But that's the wrong one. That's that. Hello, Celsius Foe, or Celsius folks. I was just talking about Redfall, and yeah, GameSpot's got their review of it. They also didn't love it and gave it a 4 out of 10. Fun characters with strong skill-based chemistry, Massachusetts-centric comedy is an esoteric delight. That's like a niche. That's a niche good thing to put. I guess they had to put a good thing in here. So there's 2 good things. And then the bad, bugs hamper virtually every aspect. Lacks the studio's usually keen eye for world design. Loose system seems underdeveloped. Interesting lore is washed away by poor delivery. Enemy AI is deeply flawed and imbalanced. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah, that's another thing. Is like, again, I'm playing on PC, and the textures just disappear randomly for some reason. I don't know why. You just walk around, textures will disappear, and then they'll fade back in, and then they'll fade back out. It's just not. It's not finished. It feels like half a game. Um, it's sad. It's upsetting, especially coming from Arcane, who, I really like Deathloop. I didn't get into Dishonored, but people like those games. Yeah, you're right. Developers do expect us to buy bad games for $100. Which is, yeah, what the whole reason I wanted to do this show is to talk about this current situation we're in, where like there was a period. I think the last sort of big one was Arkham Knight. I remember the PC version of that being absolute garbage. And then it seemed like there was a good period of time where developers were actually putting effort into their PC versions, and then the pro consoles came out, and we were getting options on console for like performance mode, get your 60 frames per second, things like that. And then in the last year to 2 years, maybe, it just seems like we're going back. We're going back to the dark times of just putting out games that are half-assed and they don't run well on PC, and we're locking it to 30 frames a second. And there was another game recently. So yeah, look, Redfall, 64 on Metacritic at the moment. It's not a great game. It's pretty bad. It's barely a game at all. But going to your point, Celsius, like, it is on Game Pass, which is like, this is another thing. It's like Microsoft, I think I've said it already, but Microsoft needs to put things on Game Pass. They need things there, and they kind of don't care at this point. It's like, whether it's good or bad, they know it's there, and people are just going to try it. Even if it's bad, it's something that's there, I suppose, and they could just make it a game later. And they kind of need to do more. They put it fucking Hi-Fi Rush this year, which was great. Came out of nowhere, did really well. Like, it was a really good game, and people liked it. And now, their big AAA game for, the beginning of the first half of the year, is not good. They're just shoving their big games out and not caring about them. And then they're putting out these really good indie games. That could be all Game Pass is, really. Like, they could put out really good indie games on Game Pass and spend more time on their bigger games. It's just, it's crazy. It's insane. The other big game recently, so also Redfall, the PC version's kind of bad. It's mostly negative on Steam at the moment. The reviews are not great. This one here is the one I looked at earlier, which comes to my point. As next gen gaming starter pack, same or even worse graphics fidelity than old gen games, abysmal optimization that requires an RTX 4090 minimum and still can't hit 60 frames, a 70 to 90 price tag for a mid and unfinished game, apology statement after releasing games in a broken state, after months of patching, nothing improves. I wouldn't say the last one. There are games that have improved with patches over time. No Man's Sky is obviously the big one, but yeah, the optimization thing on PC is a big thing right now. the he says an RTX 4090 minimum and still can't hit 60. I've got a 5700 XT AMD, and a 3600 processor. I put it on like 1440p. It goes, and it's on like medium settings, and it goes around 60. So you don't, if you want to go 4K, probably a 4090 that can't hit 60. But with my sort of old mid-range sort of specs, it runs okay, but it's very, very stuttery, which is a big thing with Unreal games on PC at the moment. Speaking of which, the other big game lately, Jedi Survivor. Another bad PC version. Stuttery, glitchy. Console version, also not great. The 60 frames mode barely, hi Creation, the 60 frames mode barely hits 60. It runs 40 to 50, maybe goes 60 sometimes. So I've been playing on the 30 frames mode, which it's pretty consistent there, but it still doesn't look great. It's like, you can tell if it was running at a higher resolution, it would probably look pretty good. But they're using AMD's FSR to upscale. FSR isn't amazing. It's FSR 2, I should say. It's not great. There's a lot of artifacts. It's very blurry. You look at Cal's eyes, and they're just like a mushy mess. There's supposed to be a patch coming out today, I believe, for console. So we'll see how that goes. But again, it's a game that's been out for almost a week, and it released in a poor state that they just expected people to buy. And we'll fix it later. People still buy it. It's Star Wars. And they'll love it because, it's a good game. It's 87 on Metacritic. It's a good game. This is kind of the opposite of Redfall, where it's like, Redfall comes out, and yeah, it's buggy and it doesn't run well, but it's also a bad game. So it's going to get bad reviews. People are willing to overlook the glitchiness and the lower resolution of Jedi Survivor because the actual game underneath it is good. Which is a thing that Microsoft doesn't seem to understand. Is like, people still get it because it's on Game Pass. And they'll play it. Don't worry about the fact that it's shit. And it's half finished. It's just, we don't care. It's on Game Pass. But they're also selling it on Steam, which is the other problem, is that they're selling it on Steam, they're selling it on console. And it's not... I feel bad for anyone who's paying full price for Redfall. 4.7 user score on... The user scores seem to care more about the glitchiness. I also wonder, I don't know, if people were playing on PC when they did their reviews or on console. But I'm playing on PS5, and I wish it looked and run better. I thought Redfall... Krajan just said he knew Redfall looked bad from the start. I think Redfall looked pretty good. Like, I like vampires. I like Buffy. I like Blade. Vampires are pretty cool. They can be cool. So I had hopes for Redfall. And it's coming from Arcane, who's a pretty respected developer. Excuse me. I'll be back in a second. I have returned. Okay. Where were we? Redfall. I thought Redfall looked cool. And it sucks that it's barely a game. Anyway. So, that's that. The other one this year, the other big one, was Last of Us Part 1 for PC. Has mixed reviews on Steam. Obviously, the PS5 version was fine, and people loved it, and it got good reviews. But PC version, again, broken. Lots of glitches, lots of weird things. Weird things. You know, you've seen them. You've seen all the videos. So yeah, it's weird. Like, now we're talking about Sony. Like, Sony, they've got their PlayStation, and they're like, hey, we can put games on PC. Why not? And even Sony is just dropping the ball. Even a team like Naughty Dog. Crazy. One of the most respected developers in the world. Some of the biggest games in the world. Nah. Crazy. But developing for PC can be hard. Like, you know, there's a lot of different factors you have to think about. And, you know, lots of different hardware, and every year there's new hardware and things you have to think about. And it sucks. I don't know what can fix it. I don't know how to turn things around. All I can hope is that, you know, if people keep giving these bad reviews, that maybe things will go back to the the post Arkham Knight times, where they decided to put effort into their PC versions, and, you know, is the PC issues from so many generations of hardware going at the moment? It can be, but also the two big PC graphics companies, or not even like, they also make processors, AMD and Intel. Oh, AMD and Nvidia. Although Intel makes graphics cards now too. But you know, they are releasing a graphics card a year, but their drivers are constantly being updated. I hear Nvidia drivers are better than AMD drivers, but I run AMD and it's usually fine. So the drivers for these things should make it easier for developers, but then also things are moving so fast in the last couple of years. Like, I built my PC 2 years ago, and games are already starting to struggle. But is that just a product of people just not optimizing their games? I think it probably is. There is a lot of hardware, but also the drivers are being updated all the time, and so they should just... I'm not gonna say it should just work. Game development is hard, and I wouldn't say the issues come from just having generations of hardware. I'd say it's more to do with optimization and not as much time being spent on development, and companies just trying to put out games as fast as they can to make money, because, oh, this thing's way over budget and we're giving it to people on Game Pass. So, yeah. But then also Sony's got their thing, and Sony charges the same price they do on console for their PC games, $94.95 for The Last of Us, which is, I guess that's not the same. I think recommended retail on the PS5 version is like $125, so it's cheaper. But yeah, release half a done game, get money, and try to fix it. Exactly. Um, so all we can do as consumers, I guess, is just keep giving bad reviews and also not buying the games, um, which is the big one. If we just don't buy the games, they might get the point. But also, they may also start to think, oh, because this is the way companies work. It's like, oh, we no one wants that game anymore. Oh, you put out this like Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is a great game. People loved it, but because it didn't hit a certain threshold of people playing it, they're like, oh, people don't want that game. People do want that game. It's just you just need to just don't spend as much money making it or whatever. Exactly, they follow trends, and trends are usually um, enforced. I don't know what the word I'm going for, but usually dictated by sales. So they don't look at the bigger picture of like this game reviewed really well because they don't care. They just care about sales. So yeah, we're in a rough spot at the moment, but hopefully things turn around and these companies start actually putting effort in. I don't know what it's going to take. Redfall's a big one. Last of Us is a really big one. And I mean, Halo Infinite didn't have all the features at launch either because they wanted to just get it out at a certain time. It's all about getting these games out at a certain time and then fixing it later, and it's that shouldn't be the way it is. That's not how it used to be. You got a PlayStation 1 game and you put it in your console, and whatever you got because you couldn't patch it later. And now that there's too much reliance on patches and just getting games out and fixing it later. Jedi Survivor has got mixed reviews on PC. Haven't played the PC version, so I don't know. I got the PS5 version just because I heard the PC version was unplayable, and definitely looks that way. Love to play the game if it didn't crash every 3 minutes. Currently unplayable, crashes constantly. This person's playing with one of the latest i9s and a 4090, so yeah. Yeah, I hear you there, Celsius. I've really gotten into Halo Infinite multiplayer the last couple of months. I've been liking it a lot, but the campaign I played for a little bit. I'm not a Halo fan either, which may change my experience. I think Halo fans probably getting it, and it being the way it was probably changes your experience than someone like me who I just really played this game and enjoyed the multiplayer. Digital Foundry did a video for Jedi Survivor. They've done like 3 videos. They're milking this shit. So we got to look at the difference between Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, right? Bad campaign, boring gameplay, multiplayer is decent. Yeah, I kind of liked where they took the campaign of Halo, or like I like that kind of open world, do this mission, whatever things that they did. It's just much like Redfall. The missions weren't very fun or interesting. So yeah, Jedi Survivor. Look, graphically, it's a big upgrade from Fallen Order, and it does look really nice. But they've put too much reliance on ray tracing. Ray tracing's on in all modes on console. So it's just led to just a bad experience, whether you play in performance mode or the 30 frames mode. 30 frames obviously looks better, but it's still blurry. It doesn't look great because they're upscaling from, I think, um, like around 1200p, I believe, is the max for 30 frames mode, and in performance mode it's like 900p, something like that, like barely above 720. Uh, it's just optimization is what it comes down to. More time needed to be taken to get this game running better and looking better. You know, you've got companies like Insomniac, who they've fucking, that latest Ratchet and Clank is an incredible looking game, and you know it looks, it's not running at 4K. That's the thing. It's like Insomniac have really good upscaling. Their upscaling is really really good, and so if you take whatever resolution it's actually running the game at, and you use their really good upscaling, it can look really, really good still. And EA have kind of cheaped out, I guess. I also think there was a partnership with AMD, which is why the game didn't have DLSS at the beginning. Yeah, you're right, Celsius. Good looking games don't have to be realistic. It just comes down to art style and resolution, really, and also frame rate. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Jedi Survivor had a partnership with AMD, which means they couldn't put DLSS in it, which is the much better upscale technology. It does have XESS, which is Intel's upscaling. I think maybe it doesn't. Actually, I don't know. I think it might only be FSR, which they've also used on console, and it's not great. It doesn't look good. So I guess this is a case of really being held back by a partnership, maybe? I don't know the full details of it, but it's not good, and that's really all there is to it. I just wish there was more time put into it, and they didn't cheap out with FSR, because FSR is you can put it in anything. You don't have to make a deal with Nvidia to put it in your thing. Nvidia, you have to go to and say, hey, can we use DLSS? Where FSR is open source, and you can put it into anything, and AMD doesn't care. So yes, that's another thing holding back. And then I just looked at this article, it's like the top 10 worst PC ports of all time, and this obviously, like, this was from April 10th, so it's a newer article. And there's some newer games here, like Last of Us. Like, this is the meme from it. It's just this weird looking Joel. It wasn't in good shape when it came out. I don't know what it's like now. But yeah, bad PC versions. Last of Us Part 1. Devil May Cry 3 apparently was not good. You'll see a lot of these games are older. This is what I mean. Is like, there was a point where, up until like Arkham Knight, where PC ports were just shit. And then they were like, oh, Arkham Knight's really bad. Maybe we should put effort into video games. And then the last year or two, it's just gone backwards. Enter the Matrix is a classic one. Look at this. This was a PC version of Enter the Matrix with its fucking square wheels. The PC version was somehow just so much worse than the console versions. I think Digital Foundry did a video about it at one point. It's it's so funny. It's hilarious how bad the PC version of Enter the Matrix was. Dark Souls 2012, Final Fantasy 7 apparently had a bad PC version. Yeah, see, like these are all just older games mostly. Street Fighter 2 apparently had a bad PC version. Don't know how that can be. Deadly Premonition, that game's bad on console, so a worse PC version. Saints Row 2 and Arkham Knight is number 1 because it's the classic. It's the GOAT bad PC version. Although I think it's better now. But again, the game came out in 2015, so they've had almost a decade to fix it. So you would hope it's better now. I think that might be all I've... Yeah, that's all I've got prepared. So, in closing, to summarize, my point is, I just hope that developers... Well, no, it's not even the developers' fault. Like, I don't want to blame the developers. Making games is hard. It's publishers is the issue. It's Microsoft, it's Sony. We'll see how Zelda Breath of the Wild does. Is that what it's called? No, it's what is it? Tears of the Rain? Tears of the Kingdom? I don't care. The new Zelda. I hear it's not running great. Just from what I've heard. I hear the new Zelda doesn't run great. So, we'll see how that goes. But it's publishers. That's the, yeah, same Krajan. Krajan says he misses the time when PC games are better than consoles in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was a period where they were, and now, again, the last couple of years, it's just gone backwards, and they're not great anymore. But yeah, my point is, publishers need to get their shit together. Stop. Making games is hard, and making games is also expensive. So, I guess you've got developers trying to make a thing, and they know it's good, because no one wants to make a bad game. No one's going, let's make just the worst game we possibly can. Like, everyone wants to make a good game. So you've got developers trying to make a good game. And they're there and they're like working every day and they're like, oh yeah, I gotta fix this, I gotta improve this. And then the publisher comes in and they're like, you've spent $40 million. We need you to just get this out the fucking door because we're done. We can't keep giving you money. And they're at odds. There needs to be some kind of middle ground. Probably bring down budgets, if I'm being honest. Like, stop spending so much money on games. You know, I don't know how you do that without getting rid of people. But then the games are going to take longer to make, and then they're still going to spend more money because time equals money. I think. I don't know. I don't run a video game publisher. But Celsius says we would all happily wait another 6 months, a year for a good game than half-finished ones, then get bad reviews. Yeah, exactly. Just take more time. You'll get your game out eventually. Hi-Fi Rush came out and it was really good, and no one knew about it. That's probably the thing too. It's like they announce these games so many years in advance. Cyberpunk was like a huge one. I waited 8 fucking years for that game, thinking it was going to be amazing, and then it comes out and it's terrible. The game itself was okay, but performance-wise, it was garbage. And I don't know. Just I would have waited another 2 years if I had to play that game. But also, don't announce it 8 years in advance. Wait, what's wrong with just waiting? Start making your game. If it takes you 8 fucking years, announce whenever you've got it to a place where it's playable and it looks good and people can come in and play it and go, oh, this is good, announce it. Celsius says, I think an issue is now games get hyped from online, from hearing or seeing a title, and when it comes out, we all have false expectations. That's true too. There is a certain level. There is a certain level of me having too much expectation from that game, but also it wasn't like it came out and it was just like not fun to play. It was also just technically poorly made and poorly optimized. So if it came out and it ran really well and the game just wasn't great, then yes, I'd take full responsibility for having too many expectations on that game. But it was also wasn't all on me. And so, yeah, there has to be a middle ground. Someone has to come to a decision on maybe not spending as much on games. I don't know. Like I said, art style is better than real. Like I would prefer a game with a good art style and good art direction over just something that looks more realistic. Although Redfall it does kind of have an art style, like it's Arcane's art style. It's like all the characters have that look to them that's arcane-y. But it's also just missing. So it's also very flat looking. And again, it's maybe they fix that over time with a longer development cycle. Who knows? If I'm being honest, I think what it comes down to, I think if I'm Mr. Publisher, if I'm like trying to fix video games, here's what happens. Okay? We start spending less. That's like a huge one. We've got all these people that have to work on the game and they need to be paid. So let's do that. Let's spend less on marketing. Think about Cyberpunk and how much they spent on marketing. How much fucking they put out that secret lab chair that everyone got, and they put out toys and all of this shit they spent on marketing for that game for 8 years. They could have just gone to development and then they could have announced it, say, 2 years out when they thought it was ready, when they thought it was going to be out in 2 years. Announce it then, and then spend your marketing budget for a couple of years. Less marketing, I guess, is my fix. Less marketing. Announce it closer to release. Then you don't have to spend as much on marketing. Done. Plus, everything's word of mouth these days anyway. Everyone's out here going, hey, you seen that game? Oh, that game? Nah. Oh, you should see that game. I will. That's what people do. So there you go. That is my Azzattack for now. Thank you.